and I can.
Hello, everyone. It's very nice that you've joined us for the postgraduate architectural courses at UWE Bristol. So just a few housekeeping things to mention at the very start. You've got questions box on your control panel that you are welcome to pose any questions during the presentations. There will be a couple of staff members, myself and another staff member, helping to answer these questions during the presentations. And then at the very end, we will have a live Q&A. So we will read out the questions that are directed to our panelists, and then they will be able to answer them. And also just to let you know that this webinar is recorded, and after the webinar, we will send a post-event com to everyone who attended and who registered for the webinar. And you will receive the link to the recording and also a few more bits and pieces like useful information about how to apply for the courses and a couple of videos. So please look out for the post-event webinar email. And I would like to introduce James Birch, who is the Associate Head of Department for Architecture. And then James will introduce the rest of the panelists. So over to you, James.
Thank you very much. Can everyone see my screen and the introductory slide? I hope so. And just one question, Irina. I've got the sort of controls, if you like, in the bottom right-hand corner. Do you know how I can you see them, and should I somehow reduce their size?
You can just click on the hide control panel, so the little arrow on the red on the top of that control window, yes, and then they should go to the side.
Lovely, thank you very much. Okay, good morning everyone, or afternoon. Welcome to UWE. Thank you very much for coming to see us. As Irina said, I'm the Associate Head of Department for Architecture, and my job today is to really introduce you to my colleagues, and you're going to have 4 talks, and to introduce you a little bit to the department. So we are, as this sort of little statement says here, we're an interdisciplinary department, and that's really important for the 4 courses which we're going to present to you today. All kind of interconnect in some ways, but they will give you different expert ways of developing your architectural skills. Our aim is really to create meaningful and healthy and sustainable environments, and I think all these courses think about that in different ways. And we're really looking to develop you as what I would say is critical professionals, people who bring to their work a real thought and care and a critical view of how things should be and how they should work. I think as a department, you will meet today program leaders who really look out for their students, and as a group of colleagues, we look out for each other and for you, and we hope to have the same relationship with you too. So our university and our department is a really excellent teaching university. So in the sort of UK benchmarking of teaching, we're the highest rank. We have what's called Teaching Excellence Framework Gold. And in the Guardian newspaper assessment of universities, which is quite a balanced assessment, that also is quite strong on the teaching performance of universities. We're 21st in the UK, just outside the top 20, and that's in the sort of the top 5th, if you like. We're very sort of high up the rankings, and we are even better in terms of our employability. So there are aspects of all these courses which are really looking to help you develop employable skills. And in terms of student work and working with our students in relation to teaching excellence, we are second in England for student satisfaction. So we're really work with our students to provide and develop a really good experience. And that now, as a reputation for our department, means that we're in the world rankings as a Department of Architecture in the built environment. So, and that's really a nice thing to kind of bring to you and to share with you, and for you to kind of be coming into this webinar and being interested in us. So thank you very much for coming to see this afternoon. And you're going to see 4 program talks, and those are with my 4 colleagues. So Trina first, talking about the building information modelling, then Fidel talking about our Master of Architecture course, which is the sort of course that will take you on in terms of the training for a UK accredited professional architecture degree. Then Francisco will talk about the specialist facade engineering course, and Murat will talk about the computational architecture. And I'll see you at the end for a quick sort of thought about career paths and how these courses provide different career paths for you and how they might interconnect a little bit. But now really it's over to Trina. So I will escape and de-share my screen, if I can remember how to do that. I think it's that one, isn't it? There we go. Okay.
Thank you, James. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. Show screen. Sorry, I think I forgot how to. I thought it was in the big round circle. Show my screen. Thank you.
Yes, so yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, good. So I'm coming to here today to give you a little brief introduction to what do we do in the program Masters in Science for Building Information Modeling at UWE. So in this course, you'll be looking at everything digital. We look at how BIM and related technologies can enable us to become more efficient and more effective working in the industry, especially in the development of projects and exchanging information or project information across different professional backgrounds. The program is accredited by both the RICS and the CIOB. So at the end of the course, you'll receive a certification from both of these accrediting organizations. In the program, we are interested mostly about everything digital, everything that can enable us to manage project information more effectively, but also how we can use that digital information in form of models and data to enable us to digitize or make the processes, the working processes around design, construction, and operations of building more efficient. In the program, we look at the whole building life cycle. This is something very particular about the program, and we look at everything from starting from the brief through design, construction, operations, and maintenance. And also, we look at the disposal of assets or portfolio of assets, but also we look at the opportunities that we have for the redevelopment or refurbishing old assets, and how do we manage, for example, historical or heritage assets as well. We look at how BIM and related technologies can enable us processing information throughout the life cycle, but also to see and identify the opportunities that we have to actually be more specific about the requirements of information at each stage. This will enable us to become more sustainable and greener. It is about identifying what are the opportunities that we have to become more efficient and manage those building assets more efficiently. For this, we count with a wide range of professional tutors that are will come and teach you and support you throughout the program. And each one of us will have a different specialization that can enable you to develop your final research project or dissertation, depending on where do you want to take your career. Within the program, we have something called the BIM placement program, where all students will go and do a placement into a portfolio of employees that are partnering with us to provide BIM implementation to their own organizations, but also for the experience for the students to work and implement the knowledge acquired through the program into more practical solutions. This is an example of some of the companies that work with us, but we have a large portfolio of placement providers, and this is something quite successful within the course. The students will actually graduate with experience, a practical experience of implementing BIM in practice. Once the students finish and they complete and graduate, they will come and fulfill the new roles that are appearing on the market. So I put some examples here about new roles appearing because of the digitization of different aspects of the design and construction, but also after in the operations and maintenance sector. Other career progressions are, for example, BIM implementation strategist, BIM consultancies, BIM-related service like developing of apps and software, and research or further studies, for example, doing a PhD. There are plenty of career opportunities at the moment opening, especially now we can see the market picking up again after lockdown. So this is something that we can see that is going to be beneficial soon. If you have any questions about the program, or you want to go and have a look about details of the program, or want to contact me for further support, please do. Here are my contact details. Any questions? I'm not sure if we're gonna do questions now or later at the end. Irina?
We're going to do questions at the end, Trina.
That's fine. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that I need to add? If not, I will stop sharing. I think I did stop sharing. Is that stop? Good.
Is that showing?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, because I cannot. So welcome everyone. I am Fidel Meraz and I am program leader of the MArch architecture here in UWE. So I'm gonna introduce the course. So what is the MArch in architecture? The MArch in UWE is a course that helps you to find your identity as an architect, what kind of architect you want to be. We offer several paths, several routes, and different options for you to choose different specialisms. The program combines critical thinking with freedom to direct your own studies and to allow you to acquire knowledge, develop your skills, and choose more specialisms. This implies that you will have more responsibility on your studies and on your workloads. The MArch is it has several features. One that is very important nowadays is sustainability. In particular, enhancing anything you need to know to tackle the agenda of climate change and the climate emergency, and how architecture contributes to those issues, to that problem. Another key feature is the live projects. We have a long tradition on developing projects with the community and with the local and regional organizations that set up real briefs with stakeholders and real users of the built environment, and offer you the opportunity to practice your professional skills there. Another aspect that is quite important for the masters is the kind of emphasis on research by design. We problematize situations and we develop creative methodologies that use design as a method of inquiry and a method of solving problems. And finally, the interdisciplinary, the nature of articulating not only humanities and technology, but also often sharing with other disciplines of the built environment within the department, and participating with other members of the community that can be NGOs or charities or other organizations within the solution of the tasks, the design task of the briefs. So what are our entry requirements? Usually an honors degree of 2-1 or above from our RIBA validated course, a first degree in architecture from an overseas institution that proves to be equivalent to this level, or an honors degree of 2-2, but with a minimum of 60% in your final year's design studio module or equivalent, depending how it is called in your institution. We also offer this entry to any other kind of ARB Part 1 examination or academic or professional qualifications that are equivalent in your country. We need to, you are invited to apply, submit a portfolio, a digital portfolio that prompts us to establish a discussion with you, an interview, and we assess. So if you want more details about the program and about aspects of the program and how to apply, by all means, get in touch with me. There are more complete information in the website of the MArch. So that's it for now. I will be around for questions at the end. Thank you. So I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay.
Right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see you.
Perfect. Okay. Good afternoon. Thanks everyone for coming today. This is Francisco Sierra. I'm the program leader of Facade Engineering. And as you know already, most large-scale buildings are now built with frame and an envelope, which is the facade. And this master will help you to solve any of the technicalities involved in the design of the facades in terms of the thermal performance, fire issues, structural issues, and airtightness to achieve an effective facade. The master is led by UWE and CWCT, which is the Center for Window and Cladding Technology. They are the leading information provider and trainer in the field of facades in the UK, and they are publishing all both standards and guides for the facade industry. The master is a unique master in the UK, so as you can imagine, this will add to your CV a really unique line. But not only that, is something else, as we can see in a minute, when we go through all the modules that we will be covering. But it will be a really good boost for your CV in terms of money or career track. As you can see, those are former students. Claudio was starting 2 years ago. He's a happy facade engineer at Google Apple. Until he was getting a job 10 days ago, we had a meeting, and he was telling me that he and his best friend, Caillou, was getting a job in one of the high facade engineers companies, contractor companies, with a facade engineering department here in the UK. So he's still studying, but he already got a job in the business. He will need to finish in the next couple of months his dissertation. Katrina, same situation. She's working for Macmillan Facades. She's taking the part-time route, which means that while she's working, she's able to actually take this master. So there are different routes and different possibilities for you. And Tapiwa is the same. He's working for Wintec, one of the top contractors here in the UK, as well as a facade engineer. The program is split in 8 modules, 15 credits. And as you can see, you will be able to deal with materials, glass and glazing, structural integrity, weather tightness, procurement, thermal performance, and advanced facades. In the last module is when we cover things like BIM or things like fire issues. And as you can see, you will become something like an expert on any type of risk assessment around all these topics. And you need to keep in mind that you've got always a dissertation, which it takes 60 credits at the end of this process. This is the calendar that you will have, the same calendar for part-timers and for full-timers. So you will need to come for a week. It's going to be face-to-face in principle, but we will see how it goes. And you will get an introduction, then facade materials, etc. In between every module, you have 1 week face-to-face with lectures, 9 to 5, and then you go 3 weeks to complete all your assignments. The requirements to be an applicant, it will be 2-1 in a related subject, or if you got the relevant professional experience, you can also apply. We will check your CV, and if we are not sure, we will ask you for an interview. And finally, here you can check the link for the master for extra information. And if you got any question, you got my email at the end and my telephone number. Probably it will be better to send an email because it's easier to reach me through the email. And that's all. I will be happy to answer any question that you have at the end of this presentation. And now I'm passing to Merat, the master. See you later.
Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's fine, thank you.
Okay, so hi, my name is Mirat Baraket. I am a senior lecturer in computational architecture and program leader for the MSc in computational architecture. It is a new program and we're excited about it, very excited about it. The program has a specific ethos. We are looking at computational simulation and digital fabrication. And ahead of the beginning of every term, we will ramp up your skills. So if you're worried that you haven't really used any of these tools before, don't worry. We will teach that to you in the beginning. We ramp up your skills, and then we show you how to apply that into small design decisions and design solutions. And we slowly ramp up your skills and how you use that into design solutions. There is also a tandem path, which is called design research. So you slowly learn how to do some sort of open investigation, experiment certain ideas that you might have developed or something that you've joined us with in the beginning, and understand how to do design research. And then you can go on and apply that into more rigorous research in the dissertations. The other part that is very unique to our program is that we also have a theory and critical thinking path. So you can't really learn computational tools without knowing how to apply it, to open up your horizon on how these things would link. And so every module will have a theoretical aspect to introduce you to the world ideas, cognitive theories, complex information. How do we address urban and ecological and social aspects through computational design? Also, it is a highly interdisciplinary topic, so collaborative design is very important. And so we also slowly introduce you into how to design collaboratively, be creative, bounce off ideas off of each other, help each other, so you can create more innovative solutions. We are working with the Center of Fine Print Research, which is one of the big labs, fabrication labs at UWE. We will be partnering up and using their fabrication lab. It's got robots, automated extruders, and a lot of cool sort of big toys for fabrication. We also, something's wrong, maybe. We also are collaborating with another master course in Venice, where we share resources and are running talk series with them. There is a strong link to the Southwest Creative Technology Network here in the southwest of England, where you will be either tutored or collaborating or working with artists, scientists, and designers that are specialized in digital and pervasive media. For the entry inquiries, if you're worried you might not have a design background, that is fine. You can be an architect, a product designer, a media designer, a digital media, an engineer, a computer scientist, or an artist. If you need to have a 2-1 or above, but you may be invited also for an informal chat. You can also follow our link to know more about that. And I will be available after, I think that's me, I'm at the end, but I'll be available for questions. And this is my name, Murad Baraket, and you can email me for further information. And I'll stop showing. And then I will give it over to James.
Thank you very much. So thank you to Trina, Fran, Fidel, and Murat. We're sort of nearly at the questions. So if I share my screen, I've got to press the right button, share my screen. So we've done this bit. We've had the program talks, and the last little bit to say is to perhaps give you a feel of the different ways in which you could come to these courses and where you might go from those courses. There could be many different undergraduate degrees that you would have, and as Fran said, and probably for all 4 of the degrees, you could well be coming from having done a degree and to be working in some sort of construction or architecture practice, and then sort of look to expand that and develop your expertise with one of these 4 courses. There's a sort of loose way perhaps to think about it. I've suggested some routes into our degrees and then future careers from them, and thinking about it in that way. We might say that perhaps for the facade engineering, you could be coming perhaps with an undergraduate degree in engineering, architectural engineering, construction management. But I did notice an ex-student in Francisco's presentation, Tapua, who did architecture and planning at UWE, and then has been working in a cladding firm and is now doing the facade engineering course. And obviously the key thing with that facade engineering course is it really is a very expert course that sets students up for a sort of expert role in curtain walling manufacturing, installation, energy consultancy, and also perhaps working as a technologist within an architectural firm. Similarly, there's lots of different ways into Trina's building information modelling degree. And I'd say there's many future career roles. So with that degree and that discipline being about the coordination and interconnection of information around buildings and their construction and future use, you can imagine that these future career options are really wide and go from manufacturing roles and architectural technology into sort of the planning and the operation and management of buildings in their use and kind of in states management perhaps. And then there's also the roles of planning a building. So I think and planning its construction, so logistics plannings for construction, work with main contracting, and obviously all the various different construction and design consultancy roles will all have an input into building information management. So perhaps you could say usual routes into BIM would be from architectural technology, QSing possibly, building services engineering, other aspects of engineering, and then really the ways in which that you could develop and move are very, very wide with that degree. The Master of Architecture, in one sense, you might say is narrower. It's an important thing to think about with the Master of Architecture course is it is a professional, it's the second professional step to becoming a UK accredited architect. If you want to make that as your professional step, then you need to be thinking of your first degree either having already been accredited by the Architects Registration Board in UK or the Royal Institute of British Architects, or that your degree would be one that you're bringing to the UK, and if you want to have a UK accreditation, you can go to the Architects Registration Board and make a case for that accreditation. You don't have to have an ARB and RIBA Part 1 degree to go on to the Part 2 Masters. All forms of architectural degree are welcome. But if you're thinking about it as a way to become an architect in a UK setting, those connections between a Part 1 course and a Part 2 are in place. And I would say as a Master of Architecture student, probably you are looking towards a professional career within architecture, and our course will give you the sort of design skills, the research skills, and the professional skills to move into that career. And then computational architecture, we'd say there's lots of different creative points of view and undergraduate degrees that you could bring into that course. So, you know, as a very first way of thinking about it, different forms of spatial design, architectural design, also product design could be ways into computational architecture, and spatial design including a first degree in architecture. Then also possibly creative computing as a first degree that would be very suitable to move into the computational architecture postgraduate course at UWE. Then ways forward from that could again really sort of fan out in different directions, quite possibly a more construction related direction as an architect or a structural engineer or a maker of spaces and buildings in one way, maybe a three-dimensional designer, but quite possibly also art practice. So you can see there's lots of different routes and ways in which we'd be interested in students bringing their undergraduate degrees and ways of working into these degrees, and then lots of future career routes from those degrees. And as a department, I think this slide is just saying we're very busy. So we do lots of different extracurricular things, competitions, lots of sort of different lecture series. We build stuff, so you can see our students, and I think I might be in that slide on the top left, having built a sort of outside pavilion space to work in during, you know, this peculiar last year. So we like to kind of have hands-on physical making projects. And we have a really good student journal called Babel, which you're very welcome to sort of find and have a look at lots of the different student work, which the students really proudly sort of put up there. And they also have articles about lots of different activities which we do. And so in terms of links, here's a range of different social media that you will find us on, and probably find our head of department on constantly, so you'll find all the gossip about us. So please do. And the top link there is the student journal, and the bottom link is to something which Fidel mentioned in the Master of Architecture course, which is the live project work we do, engaging with the whole region, really, lots of different not-for-profit and charitable organisations which we do consultancy work and projects with. And really with that, here are the contacts in case you missed them, and I'm sure we can show you those again. For Trina, thank you very much, Trina, for the building information modelling presentation. Thank you to Fidel for the Master of Architecture. Thank you very much, Fran and Francisco for Facade Engineering, and Murat for Computational Architecture. And really, it's about if anyone has a question. And one question is, why is there an inflatable Wellington boot in the middle of the slide? But that's another matter. So I'll escape, Irina, and if we go to the questions somehow, that'll be good.
We love welly boots. Sorry, Irina. I was going to say that we love welly boots at UWE. Anyway,
yes,
go
we
for
do.
it, Irina.
Thank you very much. It was a great overview of the courses and career paths in particular. I found extremely interesting. It just shows the variety that our graduates, the variety of professions and specialisms that our graduates can pursue upon graduation. So let's move to the question and answer session. And we've got a couple of questions here for Trina in relation to MSc BIM in Design, Construction and Operations. So the first question relates to the fact that MSc BIM is a taught postgraduate course, and so the participant is asking how it's managed during the pandemic. So how the classes are scheduled, for example, how many days in the week students have on campus during the pandemic. And then I will ask the next question after. Trina, you need to turn your microphone on.
Sorry. I think you can hear me now.
Yeah.
So thank you for the question. I wanted to mention about what we done through the lockdown and how we adapted to lockdown situation and what is a plan for next academic year. So through the lockdown, we turned into blended delivery, so a combination of face-to-face teaching on campus. So the program was one of the few that can actually remain on campus when it was possible. So we kept some of the face-to-face activity, even though we had students that would not be able to come to campus. We provided remote access to all our live lectures. So students that could not travel to campus, they would find a way to connect to activities using remote access. We are directed now to come back to more campus activities from September next year. So coming this next term, opening in the autumn. So what we are thinking of is we still provide the remote access, even if we are coming back to campus, we still provide that remote access because some of the students will have issues with work. And I think that's something positive that allows the student have the flexibility to come to those live activities or connect to them remotely. We also record most of our activities so the students can actually catch up with activities if they find that they have to miss a day or two. The other things that we do as well, we have plenty of material that is available virtually. All the projects, most of the BIM specific modules we run project simulations that are very similar to what we do outside in practice, and these activities are done mostly virtually, so there is no need for students to meet face-to-face with their peers to develop their coursework. So that's something quite particular about the program, because BIM is allowing us using technology to work remotely, and as such we also do this in the program. The plan for October is to have the blended delivery, a little bit more activities on campus as we move on to the autumn term, but I think that is a good opportunity for us to keep doing what we're doing online, because it's very effective for the students, and the students have reported back to us that they are very happy with some of the availability of the program activities online. So that's the plan for autumn. I don't know if I missed anything on that question, or there was something that I didn't talk about.
No, I think you've covered it. I think there was a question in particular, how many days a week will be on campus? If you already know this information, of course.
So different to facade engineering, the BIM program has been designed so students that, for example, have got full-time work or 80% of a contract can come to campus. The modules, the 15 credit modules are taught in 5 full-day blocks. These are now, with a blended delivery, being split. So there's some pre-recorded elements and some live elements that are usually falling on 1 day a week. That means that the students, if they're working, they only need to come once a week during the term for up to 10 weeks. So it's quite, it's designed in such a way that will enable students that are working to carry on with the work and come to lectures when lectures are happening, but also it's easy to catch up if they find that, for example, work compromises or engagements are not allowing to connect on that day. That's something that we think is quite working, because when students miss 1 day, it's very easy for them to know what they need to catch up with, and it's very easy to get the support for them not to fall behind. So I think that is quite positive of what we learned through the lockdown and what we think is benefit that we want to keep doing from the autumn term. I didn't mention this, but if you look in the structure of the program, you will see that the 15 credit modules, and these modules work in the same pattern. So it's very consistent throughout all these 6 modules, how you want to manage this. The other 2 modules, the placement module and the dissertation module, are mostly self-directed, so the students can decide when and how they're going to meet the supervisor or the tutor. So that's a little bit more flexible in that sense. I hope that I did give a complete answer.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Trina. I will give you a bit of a breather. There is a second question for you, but I will ask the other presenters and then we'll come back to you again.
Thank you.
So the next question is for you, Mirat. You mentioned about the entry requirements for MSc Computational Architecture, and I think civil engineering was listed there on the slide. So the question is just to confirm, so if somebody has graduated from civil engineering, can they apply for this course?
Yes, definitely. Computational design is, we really want to have a diverse group of the cohort, because that actually helps the rest of the, excuse me, the rest of the cohort. But also computational design is not just about artifacts or architecture. You can find optimization for bridges, which is actually where it started, optimization for trying to figure out structural aspects, how to optimize connectivities of urban streets and networks and highways, or motorways, sorry, or things like that. So definitely it's a great addition to our cohort.
Thank you, Mirat. And can I also ask the other panelists, so for the other courses, is somebody who graduated with civil engineering background can apply for any other courses in addition to computational architecture?
Yes, we do take students from a complete range, a big range of different backgrounds. We even have students that, for example, come from not necessarily construction sector, but they had a working experience. So there is a balance of what we see the student background is. So it could be that it's a degree on construction, or it could be equivalent industry experience. So definitely, yes, civil engineers are very welcome. We also, in one of our modules, we have our civil engineers as students sharing the module with the BIM students. So we, in that particular module, we have 5 different programs joining that. So it's very kind of multidisciplinary. And I think that is what makes the course so effective in learning how we work outside in practice.
Thank you. And Francisco, did you raise your hand as well?
No, but anyway,
Yes.
Answering the question, yes, we have people from different backgrounds. And actually, civil engineers are quite related with contractors, so they are more than welcome to come, I think. And this is the nice thing about having this meeting. More than your background, it is about what you want to aim. So I believe anyone coming to this webinar can think, where do I want to be in 3-5 years time? It could be doing things like Merat is teaching in her master. It could be becoming an architect like Fidel is doing. It could be something related with building information modeling like Trina is doing, or it can be something related with facade engineering. And I don't think it's a big deal where you come from, as far as you've got a clear idea where you want to go. If you got any doubt anyway, you can send an email to all of us, depending on what you want to do. We will check your CV and we will give you advice, or we can even have a meeting. I believe the 4 of us are more than happy to have a meeting with you to tell you, okay, with your background, maybe you will be struggling about a particular module, but in general, you will be more than okay. And it's about being motivated and understanding where you want to be in 5 years' time. Because the 4 of us, we are covering more or less some specific, but also some similar fields.
That's great. Thank you very much. So the next question is, Fidel, is for yourself. Can students with 2.2 degree and with work experience apply for a March Masters in Architecture?
Definitely. If there is a requirement for the 2.2 results that in your last design studio module, you have above 60% or equivalent as a result. That guarantees you for you an interview. So we invite you to come for an interview, bring a portfolio or submit a portfolio for us to check. And there are some conditions or some advice for portfolio. We have we produced a little bit of a video. If I don't know if it is pertinent to show it, Irina. It depends on the timing, but definitely is the course is for it would consider offer interviews for that kind of results.
Thank you, Fidel. Okay, and we'll come back to you again, Trina, with the second question that the same participants asked at the very beginning. So this is a question in relation to job opportunities, and in particular, job opportunities in UK after MSc BIM course in the present pandemic situation.
Yes, thank you, Irina. Yes, we have seen and we have several testimonials of previous students and graduates that are doing really well in the program. I wanted to remind you that all the students will do a BIM placement. These BIM placements opens many opportunities for our graduates, and some of the employers from the placements will offer a position after graduation. So we can see that the placement is quite beneficial in terms of employability, but also to get the students to know the UK industry, for example. I know, but I'm not that familiar with the new regulations in terms of visas, but I think now graduates that come to the UK can remain for a little bit longer after graduation, so that will enable them to work full-time in that period after the submission of the final dissertation. That's something that we can investigate with international office. I'm not that familiar with visas because my issues are academic and no visa regulations, but I know there's opportunity now with the new regulations on visa to stay a little bit longer. Some companies in the UK, larger companies, will be also positive about sponsoring visas for international students. So once you finish, you can apply for a job. And I have testimonials of our graduates that been sponsored for a visa and they stayed in employment in the UK, obviously legally under the sponsorship scheme that any company will offer a position, and they will be happy to support the students in such case. Other opportunities students that would like to stay in the UK are, for example, PhD opportunities or further research. These are something that is quite beneficial, especially on the digitization aspects, everything about digital twins, asset management. So anything that is quite innovative will be, there will be an opportunity for research and PhD opportunities, especially at UWE. Now we can see a little bit increase on funding for further studies. So that's something that is quite positive, and I can see my students filling up this kind of progression into from the program, not necessarily into employment, but maybe looking at further research and PhD as an opportunity. So yes, definitely there's plenty of opportunities, but that's something that, depending exactly as Francisco said, where do you want to be after graduation and where do you want to direct to your career, we will be very happy at UWE to provide you the information that you need to make those decisions. So I'd be very happy to be contacted after this day. Thank you.
Thank you, Trina. And then another question about facade engineering. How many days a week on campus students are expected to attend?
Well, Mira, thanks for your question. This is the key question nowadays. I'm having a meeting actually after this webinar with UWE to find out how we are going to be delivering next year. I know we are going to be recording most of the lectures. We are not distance learning program, I think none of us, correct me if I'm wrong, but we understand as well that at one point maybe someone will be locked down in wherever you are, in whatever country you are, or even just a little area in your country. So we understand that these things could happen, and probably you will have the chance to follow the course throughout the recordings. That's not what we try to promote, but anyway, we know it could happen. If you are attending the entire master and you are full-timer, you will need to come for 8 modules, 1 week, which means 8 weeks. So then after every week, you have 3 weeks where you can be based in your own house, back to your country. We got the students flying from different places. We had the students from the USA, flying from the USA, from Lebanon, from different countries in the world. And now there is an open window that we are going to discuss today. So if you want more information, Mira, please contact me with my email and I will keep you updated. But yeah, this is a key question, I guess, for all of us. In principle, it will be 8 weeks every year because those are and that's why we try to squeeze everything in 1 week for everyone that is actually based in some of the countries to be able to take a flight, come here for 1 week, stop everything. If you're working, then you go back to normal life. You prepare your assignments, you submit, you come back for the next module, etc. But for now, because of the pandemic, we got an extra window open, which would be that if you are going to miss one module, maybe you can do it through the recordings. Not the best way, but still a possibility. So if you got, if you want to keep updated with that, send me an email and I will keep you updated.
Thank you, Francisco. And another question in relation to Masters of Architecture. So one of the participants is asking whether they need to provide a portfolio if they have a second upper, so T1 degree.
Yes, in the process of application, you will be prompted to submit your portfolio. Sometimes, and this is probably an opportunity to clarify, sometimes we have very good applicants with very interesting work and very good skills, so that evidence capacity, but sometimes it's about readiness, it's about being ready. And the last thing we want is to accept a student that is going to be struggling. So sometimes it's about maturity, so sometimes it's about development. And once we see the evidence of you being ready, that's how we define if you have access to the course. So it's not about stopping people from accessing our courses. We want people, but also we want everyone to have like a minimum base of skills, abilities, and knowledge that allow you to, to flourish and to progress rather than struggling. So it's not judgmental, it's not marking it again, but it's to see your skills. So yes, you would be prompted to submit a portfolio, and also in the website you can find advice about what are we expecting in order to be included in the portfolio.
That's great. Thank you, Fidel. So we've got a couple more questions. I think looking at the time, unfortunately, we won't be able to play any videos, but as I said at the beginning of this webinar, we will send the links to the video recording of this webinar, plus additional links with videos, because I think Trina has got a few videos with our graduates and their stories, so you'll be able to watch. And also, Fidel has done a great video on portfolio advice. So we will send you all this information and the videos together with the final email after this webinar. And we've got a couple more questions, as I said. So another one, Francisco, for you. Will facade engineering have any placement or field opportunity?
Okay, we don't do placements for a reason. We got the 8 modules, and all the placement module in BIM it is like a module, and it's not just a placement. You build up some extra skills. What we have is literally, at least for the last 3 years when I have been involved, this year I got all the students are already working for industry. So I had at the beginning of the master, I had few students that were not working. In the last few weeks, I was collecting some job opportunities. I was sending to the students. And as far as I know, there is only one student left that is going to have an interview soon. And because he decided to postpone the interview because he wanted to finish the dissertations. But in general, facade engineers, we have a really good relationship with industry. And every year, every single student has been just literally finishing and getting a job. So more than offering a placement, what we always provide is job opportunities. We send advertisements, etc. Because I got already some companies, and they always try to collect the students from our master. So placement is not going to be available, but job opportunities definitely you are going to have.
Thank you. And the next question, again, in relation to whether classes will be online or offline from this September, it's the participant has asked in relation to BIM, but I would like to extend this to all courses that we're talking about today. So, James, would you be able to cover this, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. We are planning, so the university as a whole and our department is planning to move back to campus and to be back working in our studios and lecture theatres, etc. And so we're planning to be face-to-face. In doing that, what we want to do is make sure that we sort of take what's been really positive about the last year in terms of teaching. There have been some positives in a year which has been, very, very negative in lots of ways. But some of the positives are about aspects of recorded teaching and delivery online, which can work for our students. So it will be this sort of mix, but for anything related to studio work, so much more specifically, say for the MSc in Computational Architecture and the Master of Architecture program, the studio work, which is always the majority of a student's work, we're planning and organising to be face-to-face, in the knowledge that possibly at some point in the year, should something happen in terms of the pandemic, we would have to be able to move aspects of that online. And then perhaps for Francisco's course and Trina's, the way that they've described those as having a blend with aspects face-to-face and lots of access to materials online. That will be a slightly different blend. But we want to progress and get working with students again face to face, because I think the thing we've really realised this year is that perhaps less so the formal aspects of delivering teaching, it's the informal way of working together as a school of architecture and getting to know each other, students working together, more casual conversations between students and staff are the things that we've all missed and the things that really we all benefit from. So it's essential as much as we can to get back to that way of working.
And I complement with that about peer learning. That's something that we think and we believe is really important. We know that because we have the evidence year by year, but I think that's something that we want to kind of return to if as possible. Thank you, James.
That's great. Thank you very much. I think we've got last question here, and that's probably for me. What is the last date for CAS? So we've got the confirmation about the date when we started issuing CASs. So we've officially started issuing CASs last Monday. So it's Monday, 24th of May. So we're now in the process of issuing CAS letters. However, as far as I know, we're still confirming the latest start dates with the faculties. Therefore, at this point, I do not know what will be the last day for CAS. So once we've confirmed this with all the faculties in relation to all the courses, then we will come up with the last date for CAS. But we've started and we are in the process now, so hopefully soon we will know that. And I think we've come to the end of our webinar, and there are no more questions. So first of all, I would like to thank all the presenters. It's been really great. There's so much good information and really clear career paths. It's been wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for all your time and for putting the presentations together. And it's been a pleasure to have such a nice audience asking so many different questions. So I think it worked really well. So thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you,
Thank
Irina.
you, and hope to see you soon.
Yes, we wish to see the students' face. We want to see their faces in French, so hopefully see you soon. Yes. Thank you, Irina, for all your work. And Paolo in the background, I think you're hearing us. So it's good to see you, colleagues.